how you doing today? This is your health coach, Ferrante Frazier, with Savannah Natural Health. Look us up under savannahnaturalhealth.com on Facebook. You can look us up through email. You can contact us at 912-272-8381 or 912-227-9335. That's 912-272-8381 or 912-227-9335. We are educators of natural hygiene and holistic health and healing. So if you're suffering with any health issues or anything like that, and you want to take a more natural route towards your healing, we educate people on how to do such a thing. We know the pathway toward health, and we can steer you that path, and you don't have to endanger yourself with a medical approach to it or some herbal approach to it or anything like that. We want to thank the ATR Media for allowing us to have this platform to put out our teachings and connect with a broad spectrum of people to teach them about holistic health and healing. So before we get started, we got a good show that I'm going to talk about today on helping with emotional balance. And then we're going to finish off with speaking about manifestation a little bit. A lot of us times, when we talk about holistic health, if you notice, my background is a bunch of fruits and vegetables. Well, that is health. Health is about, eating healthier. That's a sure thing. We know that. And that's what the average person think when they think about getting healthy. Oh man, I got to eat better. That's the first thing that comes to mind, or that's only what they do. They don't think that, getting adequate sunlight, going outside and getting some sunlight or having fresh air come into their home, or they go out into the fresh air. For some reason, we don't think fresh air is, needed for health. So you don't hear people say, oh, yeah, I got to get healthy, man. I got to start breathing fresher air. I got to get out of that toxic air that I'm in. Or, I got to, stop hiding myself in my dark cave. I can't just be sitting up in the house in the dark all the time. I need light. I need sunlight. None of us are try to grow vegetables in the house in a dark room, without giving it clean water, without letting it get fresh air, or anything like that. That plant will die in there. So if we take ourselves and put ourselves in these dark rooms without fresh air, without ever getting sunlight, then we're not creating a healthy environment for us to grow. We're like plants, and we need the conditions for our health to grow. And it's not just food alone. We hear that in the Bible, the teachings from Jesus in there. It said, man can't live by bread alone. That's what he told the evil man. When the evil man would say, hey, man, just go and eat better. You'll be okay. Well, it's not just bread alone that's going to, keep me healthy. I got to also breathe fresh air. I got to, drink clean water. I can sit here and eat apples all day, bananas all day, and salads. But if I'm drinking sodas, teas, alcohol, and other toxic liquors and stuff like that, I'm damaging my body just the same. If I'm not going out there getting sunlight, I'm not going to produce, vitamin D. I'm not going to be able to assimilate calcium. I'm not going to be able to, help with my hormone cycle in my pineal gland with melatonin. You know, so it's going to be. I'm not going to have a good sleep cycle. So when I neglect other areas of life, I also get sick there too. It can produce sickness or a form of sickness. Even not just those ones that I'm naming. If I'm not getting rest, I'm not going to have energy to even function. My heart is not going to function if I don't have no functioning power. And if I won't have no functioning power if I never get any rest or sleep. That's how I recoup my energy. My body runs on energy. So does your body runs on energy. And if I don't get adequate rest and sleep, then I won't have functioning power. I won't have vital energy. And in natural hygiene, we call it nerve energy, nervous energy. And this nervous energy is a low grade of energy that flows from our brain into our spinal cord, into our peripheral nerves, into the cells. And it allows us to function, you know. This energy is created all throughout the body. But the brain is the master controller to control these energies and where they're going. You know, if the kidneys need more energy because you got some poisonous liquid inside of it, then the brain will pull energy from the liver, pull energy from the colon, pull energy from the pancreas, pull energy from the lungs, pull energy from all the other areas of the body to lend that power to the kidneys, because if the kidneys don't have the power to pull out that poisonous liquid, then you're gonna die. Well, if the kidneys die, then guess who else die? The heart, the lungs, the liver, and all the other glands. So they are willingly giving up their power, because otherwise they're gonna die anyhow. So why not give the kidneys the extra power? But then they falter in their work. They have to cut back on their work. So the liver don't liver properly. The lungs don't lung properly. The colon don't colon properly. So this is a strategic, progressive breakdown in our body. So it takes for us to, you know, properly distribute our energy and conserve our energy in all our organs. Don't abuse none of the organs that it have to rob other areas of your body and causing a, you know, premature breakdown throughout your body. I want to share something with you before we go further into this show. I want to read a couple of our hygienic teachings from the the Health Seekers Yearbook. All right, we're going to read a little bit out of it. It's by Victoria Bidwell. It's the Health Seekers Yearbook, and we're going into the back of it. And we're going to start off at 17. Let's start off at the 16. All right. It said the stomach, according to the clam and some other people, is a bag of indefinite expansive capacity useful to hold any old thing that the palate may enjoy, and as much of the commodity as may be obtained. Now, I don't know if you understood what I just said. Yeah, it sounds pretty much clear, but that's probably to a person who read about health all day long. But to the average person, they might miss everything I just said right there. But this is Dr. E. Keel back in 1960. He said the stomach, according to the clam and some other people, the medical mindset and a bunch of other, the average person, they believe that the stomach is just a bag, a sack that it can expand to any capacity and hold anything in it, whatever that you can palate, whatever you will enjoy. We believe that our stomach have the capacity to deal with it, and has the energy to deal with it, and have the means to deal with it. Like it know what to do with it. Like you just throw anything in the stomach, and the stomach is going to make use of it. It's going to do something with it. That's not how the stomach works. We go down to the 17th. It say at the present time, when most of us sit down to eat, we aren't very aware of how our food choices affect the world. And with every billion burgers sold, another 100 species become extinct. We don't realize that the sizzle of our steaks, there is the suffering of animals the mining of our topsoil, the slashing of our forests, the harming our economy, and the eroding of our health. We don't hear in the sizzle the cry of the hungry millions who might otherwise be fed off our $200 lobster plate, $300 steak dinner. That could feed many people, you know. But to get your meat, we had to feed all the fruits and vegetables to the cow, where you can have this gelatinous meat. So all the fruit, all the water had to be supplied to the cow to raise this cow over a period of years to give you a piece of meat. This cow had to be fed every day. It had to be given water every day. So huge amounts of our water, huge amounts of our fruits and vegetables had to go to the feeding of these animals that only feed but so many people, when the fruits and vegetables could have fed many of people. So a lot of us, when we sit down, we give no thought to that. We didn't see what it take for that food to come to our plate. How many other people are suffering from hunger just for us to have that big old T-bone, or that big old lobster, that big old fish, or whatever it is that they eat. We don't see the toxic poisons accumulating in the food chains, poisoning our children and our earth for generations to come. You know, back in the days, we didn't have these corporations that we have today. We have so many new corporations than when our mothers and fathers was growing up. When our grandfathers and our grandmothers was growing up, we probably didn't even have no McDonald's on earth. Before them, there was no Coca-Cola factories. There was no Nabisco. There was no Kellogg's or any of his friends. You know, there was no General Mills, in other words. That's Kellogg's friends. You know, they in the battle for the who can be the cereal kingpin. And there wasn't none of these corporations around that, you know, fill us up with a bunch of poisonous additives, addictive chemicals and stuff like that we have now in abundance. You know, the meats, even though I'm not a advocate in eating meat, but even the meat that was eating back in those days were healthier for intake than the meat that's being sold today. They wasn't eating meats out of feedlots. When I'm talking about feedlots, you got farms that raise nothing but cows. These cows are in like a little lot. They jam packed in there. You got 3,000 cows in a little itty bitty lot. They can't even move barely in there. And they're farmed and raised in these lots. And these lots be hundreds and hundreds of acres. So you got nothing but lots of dusty land raising cows at an enormous rate to keep up making your ribeyes only $9.99 to be on sale for $9.99. When they used to almost cost you about $100 to get 2 pieces of ribeye. It'd be expensive. But now you can get it. You can get meat and chicken and all kind of stuff for little or nothing because they're raising it at an enormous speed. Most of our, land is growing animals instead of growing food now, and the food that is being grown is grown for the animals. So you see the issue that we're having now. All right, so let's get a couple more in before we go into what we're going to talk about, because we're breaking through in this time now. When is the last time you had a good, hearty belly laugh? Now, this even goes with what we're talking about. This is 18. This is by Dr. Sedwa in 1985. He said, when is the last time you had a good, hearty belly laugh? You know, the kind where the whole body gets involved. Ha 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 ha. You know, you see them Japanese people, they break down and stop their actual job, and they go into the conference room and everybody just laugh for an hour. They don't know what they're laughing at, but they just sit there and laugh for a whole hour. And they just sitting there, ha ha ha. We've seen that. We laugh at them laughing, you know. But we seen skits and little funny little TikToks where the Japanese or the Chinese people over there in their room just sitting there just laughing for no reason. They just laughing. You find yourself thrown against the back of your chair 1 minute and then doubled over the next. Great loud noises burst from your upturned and open mouth. Tears flow from the corners of your eyes, and you grasp the sides of your body in mock agony. At the same time, tense muscles go limp, so you may not even have the strength to make a fist. Laughter aids the circulation. Listen what doctors say here. Laughter aids the circulation. That means it helps with circulation. It enhances respiration. You know, it helps with clearing out the lungs. It massages the abdominal muscles with that belly laughing. Ha 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 ha. The muscles in the stomach, which stimulates digestion. When you have strong muscles in the stomach, or when you're doing deep breathing, you stimulate digestive motion. Laughing lowers blood pressure. You want to get off that blood pressure medicine? You need to laugh a little bit. Start laughing. Go look at some Martin Lawrence shows. Go look at some comedy. Go out to a comedy show. Laugh. Stop being so uptight. Get that mean mug off you. Everybody got to look hard and mad. You got to laugh a little bit. Matter of fact, that's what we're going to be talking about, emotional balance, in a minute. You got to control your emotions. If you're always living in stress and worry and anger and hate and stuff like that, you're putting so much stress on your body. It takes so much energy to hate. It takes so much energy to be in anger. People are ready to blow at any moment. About the teeth about to crack. They're holding their mouth so tight. That takes a lot of energy. Look at all the muscles it takes to ball up that face up. You're putting stress on your brain. Your fists all turned up. It takes a lot of energy. That's a bunch of energy being expended, being sent to the muscles. And so doing so, the muscles are producing a bunch of waste that must be removed from your body. People get tired after being angry. After you done fuss and yell and fight or whatever, all you want to do is what? Go to sleep. You're tired. You're exhausted. It wastes a huge amounts of energy. But you want to lower blood pressure? Man, go laugh. Just bust out laughing. Just laugh. Go in the room and just laugh. Just laugh, 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 laugh. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Laugh at me. What is this dude laughing about? It begets optimism and self-confidence and relegates fear and pessimism to the background. All right, so it moves fear to the background. 20, behold, I have given you every herb yielding seed. I had to read this one. Which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. It shall be for you for food. You want to know what your meat is? Genesis 1:29. When God created man, he told man what was his food. We don't have to go to no medical doctor or listen to these scientists and let them tell us what we need to be eating. God done told you in the beginning. Now, you deviated and you let other people tell you. But if you really want to know what you're supposed to be eating, then hey, there you go. That's what Adam ate. You know, Adam was eating everything that grew on a tree, anything that had a seed within itself. Well, that was for him, for me. Now we look at emotional balance. Well, what is emotional balance? Now, that balance can be balance meaning, you have control. Or poise. That can be another good word for what we want to use for balance. You have emotional poise. All right. And the emotions. Emotions are your feelings, how you feel, you know, control of your thought patterns and things of that nature. If you can control how you feel, you'll behave differently. Now, in spirituality teaching, those emotions is what really fuel your manifestation. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. If you can feel, you can create. So what are you creating? If you feel sick, if you feel anger, if you feel someone did you wrong, you're mad. So the feelings determine your behavior and how you react. Unless you can control your reaction. But it's best, instead of using all that energy to try to combat your emotions, people try to get you to work with trying to stop from being angry. Let's just move the anger from your being. Let's put peace there. If only peace dwells in you, then that's all you can be, is peaceful. But to say whenever anger arises, let me show you how to suppress it. It takes too much energy trying to suppress anger. Let's just move it. I can have a toilet that, let's say a faucet that is a leaky faucet. Me trying to keep putting wrenches on it to keep it shut, but it always keep coming loose and I have to re-pull it. I'm keep trying to palliate a toxic condition or a broke situation instead of going here and repairing it. And I don't have to come in the bathroom every 30 minutes to tighten it up and cut the water off. I can feel free to stay in my bed, or I can feel free to stay on the couch. I don't have to worry about me having a big water bill because the water keep itching back on because something is wrong with, my knob. And I have to keep tightening it up. So I deal with the situation. I deal with this emotion. I correct it. I move it out of the way. The thing is, when you have even, let's say, addictions, these addictions are habits. They could be negative addictions and negative habits. And these things can, create bad lives for you, because whatever you're in the habit of doing, let's say you're in the habit of eating chicken legs every day. You eat 30 chicken legs every day, and you done made a habit of it. Every day you wake up, your habit is to go get you 10 chicken legs from churches and sit down and eat it. Well, in a couple of months, you're going to see the effects of your daily habits of eating 10 chicken legs. It's going to catch up with you. The first 10 chicken legs might not hurt you that bad. But over a period of time, those chicken legs are going to wear you down. Those chicken legs don't stop coming. Churches got them things coming out of the grease every 2 minutes. KFC got them popping up out of their fryer. I think about 5 minutes and 38 seconds. They give you a big batch of them. Go to Publix, they got them on demand. They already got chicken ready for you to eat. A bunch of other places. So the food ain't gonna never stop. The food is there. And I ain't gonna even call these things food. But our poisons are here. It's all around us. These things that we're addicted to us, they're not going anywhere. They're gonna be here. Poison is here. But that don't mean we have to indulge in them just because they're here. In fact, we only indulge in those things because we're aware of them. We've become addicted to them through usage, repeated usage. Because a poison, man, it's never good the first time. When you ingest the poison for the first time, your body rejects it. Even if it so-called may taste good, like a sugar. A sugar might taste good going in your mouth. But if you never really was a refined sugar person and you go indulging in some sugar, you're going to have a big hangover the next day or later on that day. Or your body is going to regurgitate that stuff. Or you're going to have a mean bowel movement, or you're going to be excessive urinating to get that sugar up out of your body. So your body is going to reject that by a different reaction, how it reacts to it. So you have to, if you want to, you have to stay away from addiction and avoid them in your life if you want to remain healthy and not be under the spell of this toxicity. So even with anger, you have to stay away from that. You can't be watching shows that people around here being angry. You're exposing yourself to that. You're exposing your mind's eye. Even though you're not doing it, you're not the one sitting there pulling the trigger, killing on this movie, this crime movie. But you're watching somebody kill, and you're feeling what it feels like to watch somebody get killed, or they're showing you as if you're pulling the trigger. Because you're seeing it through the eye of the trigger dude, or you're seeing it as the eye of the dude getting killed. So you're experiencing it. You're feeling the emotions from it. Oh my God. So you're feeling all this. And those things create stress in your world and create havoc in your world. The energy that you're bringing in through your mind's eye, these images, negative energy, because what you're seeing on television is negative energy. When you expose yourself to, anything out here emotionally disturbing, all this drama that's out in the world today, and if you notice, most people who have emotional problems are women. That's what statistics show. But if you notice, they don't want to love drama more. You don't see a bunch of men sitting there watching people, a whole show of people sitting there fussing and fighting. Who want to sit there and watch that? Who can sit there and be like, they just sitting there just fussing and fighting? They don't do nothing else. The whole show, a whole series of women and you say, you know, gay men, they sitting there. They got shows where they just sit there and they just drink and get high and talk about sex and fuss and fight one another. That's it. They talk about each other. Somebody want to be superior to the other one. A bunch of egos all day long. And this is what they're exposing to their mind's eye. And so the majority of the world of these women, they're exposing themselves to these dramas, to these angers, to this hatred and all this. And so that's keeping that energy up in our world. It takes for us to focus our mind's eye on what we want to create this world into. We cannot create this world into a better place as long as our minds are distracted on foolishness. So, each one of us is playing a big role into what this world becomes. Every last one of us, I don't care who you are, if you are a being, you have a phenomenal role in using your creative power, your mind's eye, that imagination, to bring about a better world. This is the manifestation that we're talking about. We don't have to live in a world that's suffering. If we can get enough of minds, we don't even have to talk. We don't have to go out there with guns or anything like that. If we can focus our attention on a thing and stand as if that thing must come to pass, there's nothing in the world can stop it from coming to manifestation. It'll be the door that no man can close. That's what Jesus said, eh? He said, I am the door that no man can close. Now, who can close the door to our imagination? No man can interrupt or oppose or go against our power to imagine. No one even know what you imagine. It's unseen. It's in secrecy. And what you imagine in secret manifests for all to see. All right? So it takes for us to come together and focus our imagination on the same thing. We can focus it on peace, then peace will come in this world. But long as there is energy out there that's keeping the minds hijacked away from peace and on hating and torture and all kind of other foolishness, there's no way we're going to have peace in this world. This world going to stay chaotic. It's going to stay dark. But only a repentance, which we know to mean a radical shift in consciousness. To repent is to change the way you think. I repented on something. I changed. I had a radical shift in thought. I no longer think that way at all. I'm now in this new state of thinking or this new consciousness. So when we move from a state of individualization and we see that we are just one activity here to bring perfection, and we get enough people focusing their attention, they go to bed at night imagining peace in the world and seeing nothing else. We got to take our mind off of all the foolishness going on in the world, and it's kind of difficult, especially when this keep happening to you. I say I got pulled over today by the police, and that just wanted me to be angry. I just poured light into it. Just poured light into it. Told the man to have a good day. I know I ain't did nothing wrong. But that's besides the point. There's nothing there wrong there. That's just the making of, certain groups. But that's another story. But we can create a better world if we come together and focus our energy and stop being in fear. We're using our mindset for fear. You can't fear a thing and manifest the opposite into existence. You got to believe that what you're believing is going to come in manifestation. But you have to control your emotions. So the emotional balance is what helps with fueling your manifestation. It's the feeling. You go to bed, and you go to bed with your mind's eye or your imagination. I'm saying it over and over where you can hear what I'm saying. You go to bed with your mind's eye. Say it with me. With your mind's eye, which is your wonderful imagination. And your imagination is the creative power. According to spirituality, it's the creative power of God. It's the word of God. Because you speak through your imagination and it become manifestation. All right. So you speak the words, I'm going to get a car in my mind, and you keep seeing that car. That's a visual conversation you're having with yourself. You're creating the word. That word, that image, that thought in your mind and all is creating for you. You don't have to worry about how it's going to come about. You don't even have to, worry about how things are going to fall in place. All the characters are going to show up to make this image that you hold. They're going to show up. You need $1,000? Then hold the image of somebody putting $1,000 in your hand every time you go to sleep. And what it feels like to have $1,000 in your hand. Bathe in that feeling. You bathe in that feeling and you imagine, you see it happening, and you thank that man. You say, hey, oh man. You imagine the man saying, here, I got $1,000, and you see it slap in your hand. And you receive it and say, hey, thank you for this $1,000. I needed that. And you go to bed every night with that image and that conversation and put the feeling with it. Oh man, I got $1,000. If you hit the lottery, you know what it is. If you beat and scratch off $1,000, what does that feel like? You're jumping around. Your heart is flooded. So put the feeling with the image. And you keep that up. And it'll appear in your world. It's like magic. But that's the art of manifestation. It'd be more instant the more you can hold and use this power. Now, at the beginning stages of you consciously being aware of your power of imagination and bringing stuff into manifestation, it may take a little while. But when you use this power, just like any other muscle, your mind power is just like any other muscle. It have to build up. And as you use it more, because you use it, it's just that you don't have no conscious control of your use. You letting the world tell you how to use your imagination, because it's creating images inside of you. It's creating messages inside your brain, and you're acting on those messages. And you're acting on those images. So your behavior is not your own. But when you consciously become the master of yourself and your own imagination, and you wield your power where you want to. I don't want to waste power into doing this. I want to use my power to create a better world, not just for me, but even for my neighbor. If my neighbor is suffering where he don't have a job, I'll manifest a job for him. I imagine every night when I go to bed that, he came by the house and said, hey. Ah, look like we had a mic mute issue just then. But you can help manifest anything, like I was saying about a job for your neighbor, your friend. If they're suffering and they couldn't get a job, or they lost a job, see them with a job. Imagine them. Go to bed with the image in your mind that they came over to a cookout, or they came next door and sat down with you on the porch and say, hey man, I gotta tell you about this new job I just got, man. It's amazing, and I'm making more money than I was at the other job. I'm so happy. And you say, oh man, I'm so happy for you. And you imagine that every night until your friend come next door and tell you, as a man thinketh, so shall it be. And if you're sitting there thinking good for your neighbor, your friend, then God is not a liar according to the Bible. And if he says a man thinketh, so shall it be, well, I'm thinking that this man going to get a job and it's going to pay more money. And I'm holding that thought every night and every morning. And then I have a friend or a family member who's suffering from a disease. And the doctors, we don't know what to do about it. Okay, well, I'm not no doctor, but I got the power of imagination. I'm going to help them other ways too, But without that, that you can use the power of imagination, and it may sit that your power of imagination might lead them to a doctor like me. Otherwise, they might just go down the wrong route, end up suffering and dead. But when you use your power and say, you imagine your family member coming to you and saying, oh wow, I've never seen you look so good. You look so healthy. And hear them say, I've never felt this great. I feel healthy and strong. And you hold that image of them robust, and y'all play, joke around because they're feeling so great. And you imagine that every night as you lay down. And you imagine it as you wake up. And throughout the day, if you can imagine it, by all means do it. But as long as you put the feeling to it and you focus your mind's eye, that image, you think it'll show up in your world. So it not only help you, it'll help those around you. You can use your power. And if everyone is doing that, can you imagine what kind of world this is? What kind of world would be where everyone has a conscious control of their mind's eye, their imagination, and they're imagining only good and constructive things in themselves and in others? I remember listening to our producers a long time ago where he put one of his friends up here. And one of his friends wrote a poem, and I can hear this poem in the back of my head over and over now. And the guy got up here and he performed it. And the poem was called You Created It. And that's the truth. Everything that's happening in our world, we're creating it through our imagination. Now, some of us don't know that we're creating it because we don't have no conscious control of our imagination. Our imagination is running wild. It's being controlled by the music. It's being controlled by the television. It's being controlled by others who implanting voodoo talk into our heads. And we have no conscious control. So we have no behavior control. And we're wondering why things are happening in our life. It's because we have no control of our conscious mind. It takes for us to be aware. Now you're aware. What can you do? Take back control of your world. Things that are being messed up, rewrite it. Put a different image there. You can change. I don't care if it look like it's a crazy situation. According to the Bible, it said there's nothing impossible with God. Okay, well then there's nothing impossible with imagination. Tell me what child that you can talk to that would say that, well, it's impossible for me to imagine a unicorn that looks like a dragon. Well, that's not true. We all can do so. Imagine yourself in at the fair right now, riding a ride on the gravitron. Imagine yourself just walking around the fair, eating some cotton candy. You see how you can, anything is possible. Imagine yourself doing a flip right now. You can imagine that even if you can't even flip, but you can imagine yourself flipping. There's no impossibility to imagination. So that means that your imagination is your creative power that has no blockage if you control it. So it's the door that no man can close, right? So you can open up any door to your world through your imagination. You can open it up. You can open up bad things, so be careful. That's why you have to make sure that your environment is good. You know, if we're in environments that are toxic, and most of us, you know, in the Black culture, we are raised in areas that are not healthy for us. And our imagination is thwarted and blackened and sabotaged through so many avenues, where other races, their imagination is guarded. They're not seeing the things that we've seen. They're not hearing the things we heard. They didn't go through the pain and torture that we had to go through in our culture. So yes, that's why a lot of them are faring better, these different cultures, because they have better control of their imagination. They're being taught this stuff. We're not being taught to imagine. Oh man, ain't nothing in this world for a black man. It's nothing in this world. All we can do is, all we can imagine is to get a job and barely make ends meet. And, you know, dealing with different baby mamas, you know, unable to pay our bills on time. This is the image of the black man. And this image is supplanted in so many of our heads. The image of the black woman, hey, it's not that great of a picture either. It's changing now. Don't get me wrong. It's changing. And this change is necessary. This change need to be speeded up. And we can do so. All right. And this is where I leave and stop for the day. All right. So we talked about emotional balance, having control of and poise of the self, not overextending yourself, not in, you know, controlling your anger, getting rid of it, getting rid of hate, abolishing this stuff. All things that are constructive, those which you want to exemplify. Anything that is negative, you want to get away from that. You're shifting from that lower self, your lower body. Your lower body is where all stupidity, evilness, hatred, misconceptions, and all type of foolishness is at. That's your lower self. The lower self acts out, you know what I'm saying, with no control. Has no control. But the higher self is like a Christ conscious state. Your highest being is Christ, in other words, or the enlightened you, the better concept you, the better perspective you, the better knowing of you. You know? So you always want to operate or reach and operate from your higher self. Raise yourself. This is the resurrection. Raise yourself from your low being, from being just a. Now I hate to use. Well, I'm not going to even use it, but it's a, from ends to gods. You know what the N word is. I don't even want to say it. But from ends to being gods. It's a book. You know what I mean? You might want to read that book. Going from an end to being God. So we're going from our low state of being ignorant to being all-knowing. Being in is being ignorant, and being God is being all-knowing. So we want to raise ourselves from an ignorant state to an all-knowing state. And to be all-knowing is to know self as everything and the power that you have within. All right, so I just want to encourage you so much to use your power this week. And from now on, just consciously raise yourself up yourself. And just imagine yourself being a power to create. Imagine yourself having the power to create. And then start creating. Like the poem said, you created it. Everything that's happening in your world. So start creating. If you don't like what's going on, change it. You're the creator. Get rid of that director who's directing your world wrong, which is the television, which is the show. Those directors are directing you in the wrong direction. Those who producing havoc and other stuff in your world, you fire them. Those actors that's not behaving properly, kick the bucket. And you place in their place a better producer who produce nothing but perfection. And you get directors that direct in righteousness. And you get actors that perform, with good intentions. And then you'll see a movie in your world. Everything you'll see on your stream of life will be, magnificent. With that being said, look for us at Savannah Natural Health. Our number is 912-272-8381. If you're suffering from any health issue, we can help guide you to health without the use of medicine, herbs, remedies, or surgeries, or any so-called curing method. Ours is pure education. We program you into a lifestyle change, a shift that will promote health in everybody. The body is an organism that was designed to heal itself. It needs no prompter. It needs no help. It just needs assistance in removing the cause and supplying the body with the conditions for health. It just needs you to make sure you give it the right water. It just needs that you make sure you give it the right food, and that you wash it, and that you allow it to sleep, and that you give it regular movement and exercise, and you keep it away from dangerous situations and dangerous people and environment conditions, such as even temperature. Making sure that it gets some sunlight and keep it clean, washed down and stuff like that. So you just got steward activities to this body, and the body will do the rest of the work. You're just a steward for it when it comes to healing. So best of health and happiness from Savannah Natural Health, and look for us next Tuesday at the same time. All right, best of health and happiness. I love you. Have a great day.
I like that. like this. I like this. I like this. I like this. I like this. Like this. I like this.